Hello, everyone. Welcome to our astrology and tarot readings for the eclipse that is coming in. My name is Brett. I'll take you through the tarot cards, and my friend Cindy here will take us through the stars and the transitions that will be affected. So please like and subscribe, and her information will also be available in a link for the description box. So feel free to reach out to us both for any of your tarot or astrology needs. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Cindy so she can take us on the transition. Thanks, Cindy.
Yeah, so happy to be here again. So we're talking about a solar eclipse today, and there is a difference. There is a lunar eclipse and there's a solar eclipse, but this is a solar eclipse. But the thing about eclipses, whether or not it's a solar or a lunar, is it's meant to be kind of like a jump start. So it is like a big infusion of energy, so to speak. So in this particular one, as a solar eclipse, we're finishing some kind of personal story. So our circumstances could change in some way. It could even come across as a crisis of sorts, but generally when this type of super energy creates some type of crises, the crisis is always for the better. So it may seem like, oh my gosh, what's happening to my world right now? But in the long run, it's really it's really what's meant to be. And this can happen, on a personal level and or on a collective, because it's really, although eclipses bring energy to the whole world, because they're the sun and the moon up there in the sky shining down on Earth, there are certain signs of the zodiac that will be more affected than others. And primarily that is because this is a solar eclipse in Aries, which is a fire energy, and it's cardinal and it's fixed. And so if you are in a cardinal or a fixed sign, you're likely gonna feel those energies a lot more. And so the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And the fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Now, I know that seems like it's pretty much all of the signs, but it's not. There are some that are left out of there. So if your moon or your sun or even your rising falls within one of those signs, this eclipse is the energy of this eclipse is probably going to feel, you're going to feel it in some one way or another. The other thing about an eclipse is, although this happens on the 20th of April, it has lingering effects. So it really can affect you for up to 6 months. And in fact, eclipses come in like series, and they are based on what we call the nodal axis. So right now we're in, in July, we're coming out of the Taurus Scorpio axis, the lunar nodes, which isn't really a planet. They're just points up in the sky. And we're moving into the Aries Libra. So the reason why that's important when we're talking about the actual event of eclipses is because they're kind of like the yin and the yang, right? So an Aries is all about me, but a Libra is the opposite of that, and it's all about we. So, with an Aries eclipse, we're being asked to kind of look at ourselves, the me side of it, but we also have to figure out how to balance that with the us. So that makes, this really kind of important. And then the other thing is if you have any planets that are transiting the eclipse, so from your natal chart. So that's really where astrology becomes really important too, like to work with somebody like myself, because, we need to pull up your chart. We need to look at this kind of in a more visual manner. But So neither Brett or I have any transiting planets over this eclipse in our natal chart. So that's a kind of a good thing. However, you know, there are other things going on right now, like, let me look here. Well, Pluto is squaring the sun on this eclipse date of April 20th. And so that is going to be asking us to clear out old waste. And it's going to be asking us to like wrestle with our fears and our ambitions so that we can transform. So Pluto's giving a lot of transformation energy here. So when we're focusing on the me and how we balance that with the us, it's asking us personally to transform ourselves so that we can, you know, work with this yin and yang of this energy. So the other thing that's really important is that Aries in itself is a fire energy. It's ruled by Mars. It's like, you know, it's like take action now. And then on top of that, we add that we're just headed into a new zodiacal calendar, which brings like new, renewed, fresh energy.
Springtime.
And then even more so on top of that, this is the second new moon in Aries. And we don't see that often in a month. And the reason why we're seeing it this month, well, the other new moon was March 21st, I think, but that was at 1 degree of Aries. So this eclipse is in the second new moon is at 29 degrees of Aries. And when we get to talking about degrees in astrology, that becomes really important if I'm talking to you one-on-one about like the energy of the degrees. But 29 degrees is considered an anaretic degree. It's the last degree. There are 30 degrees in a sign. So it also gives us that kind of sense of like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of time, right? So you put Mars and Aries and Pluto and then, you know, we got Mercury out there playing around and Uranus is out there too. And both, you know, like Uranus, that is a planet of change. It wants to encourage us to grow. I mean, this eclipse, and if you follow astrology at all and see it in your social media feeds or whatever, you're probably seeing a lot from astrologers about this. And it's because not all eclipses are, you know, that maybe gonna be that impactful, or their energies might not be that strong. But when we add all of these other little elements onto this particular eclipse, that it's in Aries, it's fire, it's at 29 degrees, like I got to take action now. It's the beginning of a new astrological calendar. So just like in January, where you're thinking about like making all your New Year's resolutions, well, that's really what happens with astrology, but it's on April, you know, in April, where we start a new, like where we should be making our new astrological goals for ourselves. So putting all that together is makes this really important. So then the next thing is, I mentioned right away that eclipses come in series. So this is going to kind of be like your little homework for this particular eclipse, is that we haven't seen this Aries solar eclipse for 18 years. So what was happening 18 years ago in your life? Whatever was happening in 18 years ago doesn't mean that's what's going to happen right now, but the themes around what was happening then are now going to repeat themselves again. So like for me, for example, I was getting a new job, and it just so happens that I'm looking to get a new job now. So that would be the theme for me. And again, when you work with an astrologer, the house that this is happening in will tell you what that theme will be. So for me, that is in my 10th house. In my 10th, your 10th house is of career. So and, or, you know, what you're giving to the world in terms of, you know, that kind of career mode, I guess, for lack of words. So again, think about what happened 18 years ago. If you have an astrologer, you want to work with me, we can look at, you know, where that's falling in your chart. So I just to kind of hit that home one more time, because we're going to go to the cards and see what the cards say. But I want to say where it's hitting for Brett and I, so that, you know, you can see, okay, well, that's hitting for them. And now we're calling these cards up. You're going to kind of see where, yeah, that's validating that. And you need to think the same way when you're listening to the cards. Where was I 18 years ago? And what were those themes? And where am I right now in my life? And how am I being asked to change or transform and focus more on the me versus the we? But again, we don't just like, we may need to discard the we, right? Maybe you're in a relationship that needs to just go away or end, but maybe not. Maybe you just need to change the way, you know, you go back to the way when you first started dating, or, you know, you do something to reinvigorate that, that relationship. So it's not all doom and gloom, but it is focusing more on how this satisfies you, but is yet compatible with the we. So for, like I said, for myself, it's up there in my 10th house. And we know, I just told you that I'm looking for a new job, and I actually have some opportunities right off the get-go here. But for Brett, yours is in, I don't know, I don't think I told you this yet, but yours is in your 2nd house.
Okay.
And so your 2nd house is your house of, it's kind of related to career, because it's generally about money. It's about, you know, how to assert yourself, like in the passions of the things that are going to create stability for you. And we know that career and money and finances and things like that create stability for us. So, you know, you might want to like work on things like with your business, you know, maybe making a more concrete financial plan for your business, you know, how this is going to sustain you or give you the stability that you need going forward. And so, and not, you know, maybe not depending, maybe, you know, you depend on others or something, you know, I'm not saying that you wouldn't still continue to do that, but you got to figure it out for yourself too, and how that plays into that. And then the last thing that I want to say before we go to the cards is Jupiter. Jupiter is also like in the stellium, and in astrology, stellium just means that a bunch of planets are all like smushed together, like one right after another. And so they're all giving each other energy. And so with a solar eclipse, we have the moon and the sun right next to each other. And, you know, Earth is like in between. But when we have a lunar eclipse, they're the opposite. So we have the sun up here and the moon down here and the Earth's here. So when we look at your chart, that house that they're in, we're going to see the sun, the moon, some other planets, but we're going to see Jupiter there too. And that's really important because Jupiter is a benefactor kind of planet. And so it wants us to expand. It wants us to go big. So, you know, it is asking us to, or encouraging us to focus on these themes that fall within that house where this eclipse is happening for you. So just, I guess that about wraps it up. And now I'm really excited to see what the cards are going to tell us all about this.
I'll tell you what, it was like you were looking at the cards as they're already on the table with the stuff you were describing. It's just got my head going like crazy. And I will say, like, for me, the things that are going to build my foundation, I'm really putting a lot into YouTube here because this is my future and what I want to do. And getting away from, you know, my muggle job.
Right.
Give more back and thus getting some more return for myself. So, and it's more in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing. So here I go, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so I got the cards on the table. I'm going to pull an oracle card first. give us an overall energy. Let's see what we get. Okay, we got the lion and the deer, card number 22. And that's like pretty much the day of the, the lunar eclipse. And I've read this card before, so I'm excited to read it because it really does. It's already resonating in my head about the lion and the deer. So here's the oracle. Hello, my old friend. Do you remember me? We are the oldest of friends, ancient soulmates we are, acquainted over many lifetimes past and through many lessons learned together in the school of love. So here we meet again in this advanced spiritual training of the human experience with the earth as our classroom. The moment is upon us to leave behind what we have once known and to open up to the great mystery of life again. Our souls leapt from the divine oneness through the river of forgetfulness and now dive into a body and a life. What a journey that leap begins. So let us embark on this studious adventure together. Let us honor the tiger and the lamb within each other, the lion and the deer. I can witness in you both the raging warrior who fights with unbreakable honor and the healer who brings together those things torn apart. Of course, for are we not all things? Are we not human and angel, animal and spirit? Are we not heaven and earth? Are we not divine? And in being divine, being all things are divine. So here we are together in the school of love, not for the soul who still adheres to the preference instead of curiosity, not for the soul who craves comfort instead of devotion to divine adventure. We must be like lovers, you and I, if we are to take these lessons. We must be willing to become mad with passion, crazy enough to chase the great beloved, even if it means forgetting who we are for a time to have the sacred delight of rediscovery, breaking some rules and looking like fools. Well, what could be greater than becoming a fool for love? That will do for us. That will do well. Let us be fools for love together. So shall we become study mates? We recognize each other, even in all of our varied garbs, bright and sombre, wild and gentle. We become the most enthusiastic students in the school of love, urging each other to even greater feats of passion and devotion. How we shall outdo each other is grand gestures and our unwavering commitment. So this oracle brings you a special message. You are rediscovering a part of yourself that has been lost or submerged underneath more practical concerns. Of course, if practicality is about survival, then learning to be your true self is more essential and practical. All other paths lead to death of your soul. You're being asked to bear the chaos of this rediscovery. It may be that talents from this or other lifetimes are reawakened and cause you some discomfort at first, even though they will ultimately bring joy and greater fulfillment. This discomfort may be about how those talents are best expressed, about overcoming shame, guilt, or doubt, and other judgments. It may even be about who you are, if you now admit your talents or other emerging personality traits. So perhaps what is being unearthed in you now is darker. It's your sacred rage, refusal to accept disrespect in your life, your inability to tolerate lies and deception. Well then, you are the lion and the deer. That is nature. There is both in this world. You are not becoming contradictory or hypocritical. You're becoming whole. This guidance this oracle brings to you is that you shall prosper most now if you're willing to unbecome what you have believed yourself to be. It was never really true anyways, that view. It was partial at best and just a view, an identity, not a genuine reality. Some of your previous sense of self shall likely come with this transition into a fuller experience of your being. And some of those previous identities shall be shed as far too limiting. It just won't feel true for you anymore, if it ever did. Any crisis or confusion this brings, you shall be temporarily fueled to ignite the divine fires within. They shimmer into life, cooking you from within, bringing all your flavors, spice and sweet, bitter and sour into perfect balance so that your being, your presence, becomes an exquisite dish served up as a divine feast. Your being will hold all, for it holds all within it. It will deny nothing and become a tonic to feed every taste, every appetite, every hunger, and every deficiency. What an extraordinary sublime meal you shall be, how your presence shall nourish the world. And it all begins with shedding the either and the or and recognizing instead the all. With such wild permission for unconditional love, you shall thrive in your beingness and feed the hungry world within a meal complete, satisfying, and exquisite.
You know, I'm just going to say right now, for those that, you know, hit on this YouTube video and watch it, I want you to not only watch the whole video, but you need to go back. People will need to go back and re-listen to that oracle multiple times, because everything that I just spoke about was hit on there. Like, right, the very first sentence, I think, was, do you remember me?
Yeah.
That's what that eclipse is asking us to do. Remember yourself, right?
Remember when.
Yes. And then when there was a line that said fool for love. Well, remember, this is on the axis of Libra Aries. Well,
Right.
Libra is all about partnership and wanting balance and love. And then, you know, and then it says to rediscover yourself and find your true self. And the last thing that I really heard there was bear the chaos, discomfort, because greater fulfillment is coming. And I also said that about eclipses, that sometimes it may seem like a crisis, chaos, but in the end, this is all for the best.
This is true. You know, and it's funny. So I usually don't, I put the bottom of the deck up, and I usually would use this for like overall, and it's justice. It's Libra energy.
Libra,
and
there you go. Yeah.
It's coming into balance. And it's about sudden change too, and things happening, and being ready to adapt. So current situation, we have the Six of Cups here, and it's about forward progress and moving forward. But it is also this energy of clinging on to something and not living in the present. So it's, you know, it's being stuck in the past right now. And it's also, you know, waiting for positive alignments to come through here with that. So it's Scorpio energy. You did talk about, I want to say Mercury, right? And transformations coming.
Pluto. I said Pluto was squaring the sun.
I'm thinking
Scorpio.
Yeah. And so it's really too, these are, like you said, these feel like energies coming together to promote harmony right now, but it's letting go of the past and getting ready to embark on something new here, and leaving things behind. And it's, you know, seeking your independence, or freeing yourself from something, you know, for whatever that is, since this is general. And yeah, I gotta say that this is a general reading for the entire collective. So apply that energy as it is. So the challenge, it's another six. It's the Six of Pentacles in the reverse here. And it's when you're dealing with things with an unfair dynamic, it's about getting on top of these things, and make whatever's left you empty. You know what I mean? Seeking, this is the challenge, is those things that have left you empty, is transitioning into those things that are more rewarding too. And it's also realizing that being able to give without expecting back, you know, because some people put so much in, they're left empty and not putting it into the things that are important to them. So with the two sixes like this and the way they are, it's good karma will come back to you. And with justice there, things coming into balance. And also, if you've been bad, expect something, and that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just, and if you've been in a good time, maybe things changing.
Right. Well, how I think about that too is that, people that don't really believe in working with life and just like letting life happen to them, or digging their head in the sand because, they just don't believe in astrology or divination of any kind, or maybe just faith or spirituality. I mean, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but life is going to happen to you. And and so it could be negative if you don't pay attention and you don't try to transform and you don't try to be a better person, basically.
Well, right. And yeah.
That's that karma.
Well, here's what's funny is the bottom card, the subconscious is the Hierophant. Taurus energy, and this is dealing with love, but it's also something here that's very guiding. And it's, what did you learn, and what are you being taught, and it's more focused on traditional energy, and it's the path of knowledge. So what have you learned now about overgiving? I mean, when I link it right to this, and where are we still stuck in the past in the current situation? I mean, this Hierophant's kind of reaching up twice with that. The crowning energy.
And just real quick, Taurus, stability, you're creating your own. This is a time to transform and create your own stability.
Right. Like I said, and I always see the Hierophant as something guiding you, like and it also tells you to take a calculated risk. It's like, if you're going to do something, don't overdo it. Make sure there's enough there to get a hold of. But it is getting outside your comfort zone. And, there is a spark of divinity here. And like I said, I like the teaching and the learning of the previous energies that come in. So we got on top, we got the Queen of Swords. She's definitely in search for the truth. I like the energy, like it's that air and water. It's understanding your emotional and your mental. It's tying those together so you can be cool-tempered and level-headed. And then again, this is a teaching card. What did you learn in this process, and what can you bring into your next step, your next ambition? What is, whether it's your relationships or your career, what do you bring with it? Making sure decisions that's with your mind, not over your emotions. It's really coming into balance with that, and it's speaking the truth, seeking the truth with that energy. I don't know if you want to add to that too, seeing the truth and valuing.
Well, so this is the thing that I just keep thinking about, it being in Aries. And remember, I said it's at 29 degrees. So that makes us feel like we're running out of time. But also remember that eclipses, that you're going to feel their energy for like up to 6 months. So, we don't really like on the 20th, we're not just going to blow up our world. These are just that this is more about helping you think about what's going on and planning and creating that stability. And so we want to be careful with Aries energy too, to not just pop off.
Right. Don't just go off on emotions alone. Seek the truth in the situation, and how it's going to, be perceptive right now too. What are you learning? Are you more observant to the little things that are trying to tell you what's coming up, seeing synchronicities and stuff like this. This is also wise guidance, right? The Queen is something here, wise, teaching you something. And it's about being compassionate too and fair in the situation. So the past energy, we've got the Four of Pentacles or Four of Wands in the reverse. And this, it was funny because you were talking about unhappiness in the family or things that were holding us back, feeling unwelcome and just like things that were of conflict, that we're getting out of those things that weren't supporting us and wanting to gravitate towards the energy that is more supporting than what we've been experienced. And these are conflicts with everything, with your family, what you love, and all those distractions, again, those things that take the happiness out of really truly being. And I like the way, so we got 4, 6, 10, 10. The crossing energy for me, we got the death card in reverse. This future energy, the transformation that needs to happen. When is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? Resisting change is like the worst thing that could happen with this, or failing to change negative patterns. Some of us will be successful in this. You talked about with that, Scorpio, Mars, and Pluto energy too. Allowing things to transform is what's important, embracing endings as well as new beginnings. This seems like it is a struggle, right? Especially when we're looking at the 6 of Cups in the reverse, things in the past, not being able to move forward. It is a big shedding of this because, 4 of Wands was, really made some things unhappy and took some of the happiness away. But these are the things that need to happen. And, being unsure of the past or the path forward too, fearing the change with that. That's that future energy, but it's coming, whether you like it or not. You can either fear it or, be ready for it. And I always, no matter what the negative thing that happened, there's always something positive that can come out of it. So how you view it is so important because that helps with the transformation. Right.
Exactly. It could be a really terrible situation, but guaranteed there's something in there that you are meant to learn or recognize or change or something.
I said things coming back into balance for us through this transformation. So in the current energy of everybody, we got the Princess of Swords in the reverse. And this is holding back communications till things are clear, more clear. Making sure you don't get in over your head. I mean, I think that's a lot of fear too, is getting too far ahead of myself. But we're ready to make a transition and get away from these things that we were like just like getting out of scatterbrained energy and trying to find these things that are what we're ready to fight for. This transition, it's air and earth energy. For what that is worth, and it's I feel like a new energy and a breath of fresh air coming in once we understand things that are going on.
You know what I was just thinking about too, Brett, is you've pulled a lot of cards in reverse, and I wasn't really gonna focus much on Mercury retrograde. But Mercury retrograde is the day after the eclipse. So we're in the shadow period now. And so that would be on the 21st. And it lasts, I can't remember, it's like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. And so what is that? That's all of the re's, right? All of the R's, like rethink, reevaluate, like relax, reconsider. So the fact that a lot of the cards have come in reverse, I feel like that's not diminishing the energy of what they would be upright, but that Mercury retrograde is having some effect right now too.
Well, right. Yeah, it's going to inhibit communications, right? Hold back stuff. And it also deals with like gossip and legal matters too. So, but everything right now is telling you to keep your eyes open and stay sharp and vigilant too, as things go on, and it's defensive energy too. Like I said, it's really kind of telling you that I need to plan, because it's, this energy you said, talked about, like I got to hurry up and do that. It's like this energy is kind of like, starting to fuel nervous energy.
For sure.
in the current situation. And here's the funny thing that comes up in the environment right now. We've got the Lovers card of Gemini and
Yep.
Mercury communications, right? It's in reverse. um it's things are in disharmony, or things we need to detach from, whether it's karmic relationships, but it's troubles are brewing here, whether it's in, what I mean, all around us, from the Ukraine to our own environment. So things are brewing. And it's like we also need to detach from certain things to find peace, and really find our path here. It's about making decisions, although here we're discovering the disharmony that makes us start to make decisions here. And it also tells us, what do we got to leave behind and sacrifice, so we can really, find the Lovers card. It could be that karmic love thing. And those things that are meant for us. I always feel like the Lovers are heading towards things that are more balanced.
Yeah,
And
because lovers doesn't have to really mean another person. I mean, again, you like a lot of what I talk about too when we're looking at a natal chart and stuff is be like the observer, observing your life. Well, right there is a partnership, right? There's you, there's the physical body, and then there's this observer up here, sending you all kinds of eagle messages or moon messages of emotions and so on and so forth. So, lovers don't have to necessarily be with another person. It could just be your own inner lover.
well, I think really, like, in your environment right now for the collective, it's ask me, what do I really need to sacrifice to attain my goal? And it's always that love comes in many forms. Sometimes the hard lesson, is you got hard love coming in here, kind of in reverse, to really kick you around, to help you. And I'm going to go right into the next card, into the hopes and the fears, because I really like this, as it does deal with Cancer. And the Two of Cups, like the power couple, two things coming together, more connections coming in, and attracting things that are more meant for us. Some of us may be joining forces like we are, because I think it's always better to do something with somebody at your side that's hard, you know what I mean? And somebody who can live up to the deal, who wants to experience balance and a true relationship here. And I feel like this is stuff that's mutually beneficial, is what we're all seeking, in our hopes and our fears. Our hopes are those things that give back and support. So I really feel that's special in the hopes and the fears, that we are all looking for this too. Partnerships, they're really strong forces coming together. And the dealing with love, I'm glad it's not something else. It's almost like love uniting the world, or things that are alignment there, things that are mutual.
And we just need to do it differently. We saw that in our video before this one, where you're talking about things like Pluto transitioning and Saturn transitioning. I mean, a lot of transition right now, where we need to think about things differently.
Right. So here's an interesting one. I like the final card. It's Five of Wands, in reverse. This is realizing that if you have these inner demons, you do have to fight those, right? I mean, we all have some type of inner demon here. And realizing that we can't blow things out of proportion. And right now everybody's blowing things out of proportion, right? Almost making them bigger deals than they need to be too. But really right now, I feel like we all need to avoid conflicts to find those peace, and to really hear what we're trying to learn with this, or what's guiding us, in our subconscious, the Hierophant here. What are we learning? I said, experience the transition as it is, and avoid conflicts, and make sure you're sticking to the facts. That's the final message I'm going to say about this reading, is dealing with factual information. Do you have anything more you'd like to?
No, that's what I was just gonna look here, just to see if what I wanted maybe my parting shots to be too.
because I do see the, you know, the Queen of Swords here and conflicts across the top, you know, finding the truth in those conflicts. What's conflicting us? Why are we not living in the
just no matter what theme is coming up for you, you know, I guess what I want to say is when you're trying to think and reflect on it, or maybe journal on it, if you think about like how have you contributed to it, or how have you complicated it, or you know, what have you become dependent on in a unhealthy way. I think, yeah, I just think those are some more words that I want to throw out here at the end. It's just if you're new to all of this and you're trying to think about, wow, this sounds like me right now, but I'm a little overwhelmed. You know, maybe just use this information, like I said, to think and journal and think about life, and again, how it's been complicated and how it could change.
So, and I want to line this up for everybody too, because we got 3 6s here. Okay. And 6s are about making adjustments and finding those things that are really pleasing and satisfying to us with that alignment. So it's right in the current situation. It's in the challenge, and the Lover's card is the 6. So it's about making those choices. And I like the alignments, because things are really aligning. Whether they align, they seem hard or not, they're aligning for a purpose. So we can experience the transition and do this transformation, you know, so we can complete and move on to better times. Like I said, no, not everybody's going to make this transition. And they're going to be stuck in the past, and they're going to experience a cycle. But those who are listening, those who are experiencing this higher levels will be able to do this transition and understand what it's trying to teach them, so that they can move in the direction that's more in their alignments, where their heart's guiding them, what's guiding them to their, like I said, I love justice over the top for balance, karma, good karma coming in. So all right, that's what I got.
Yeah.
Please subscribe, everybody. Cindy, thank you for doing this with me, and we'll probably do something here in the future. So everybody, take care now.
Take care.
Stop recording. You will receive an email notification by iCloud.